Welcome, everybody. We have a very special love-infused week on the Brain Warriors Way podcast. We have a very special guest.
I wore my special love shirt.
Love that.
So, yes.
But before we introduce Natalie, this is Zane here. Do you want to read it?
So we have a testimonial. I'm so relieved and more than glad that I found a book by Dr. Amen that was on its way to the trash.
Oh, no.
I firmly believe that Daniel saved my life from laziness, unmotivated lifestyle, negative thinking, obesity, and maybe homelessness. Wow. Thanks for existing, Dr. Amen.
That's why we do what we do.
Love that.
To save you from the bad habits that will steal your life. So Natalie is our social media director, and
Yes.
Natalie's a graduate from USC, which has been in the news a lot recently.
Yes.
And one of my favorite people.
But we just adore her, and it was your idea actually to interview the two of us about love. And welcome to the Brain Warriors Way podcast.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. We talk a lot about relationships at the clinic, emotional relationships, physical relationships, friendships. And I thought it would be awesome to talk to our viewers about how they can strengthen their relationships, not just with their partners, maybe with their family, and other people in their life. So let's get started. We wanted to break this podcast into 4 different episodes, and each episode we're going to be talking about a different type of love. So the first type of love we're going to be talking about is called EROS. And EROS is the Greek word for sensual or romantic love. So who better to talk about that than 2 happily married people, the Amens. Daniel had talked a little bit about this in his PBS special where you broke out the 4 different types of love. I thought it was so powerful. So let's get started. I wanted to talk a little bit to the Amens about what they do every day to stay connected. Physically, emotionally, if you have any type of rituals that you guys do together that you'd like to share with us. Let's get started.
I think we have a lot.
Yes, you do.
You want to start?
Well, I think we actually are, number one, conscious of it. So we actually talk
Which is
a lot.
the first most important thing.
Right. So we actually talk a lot about what kind of relationship we want to have. And then what do you have to do to have that kind of a relationship?
Right.
So we use our brains.
Right.
We actually program our brains to tell us what we want.
Right.
And when we first got together, and it was a rocky first year.
Yeah, I think it's important people know that.
Yeah. And it wasn't
Instantaneous.
It wasn't instantaneous chemistry, although totally it was for me. It just wasn't for her.
So wait. But you have to.
I want to explain
But I want to
the
explain them why.
concept of alchemy.
Right.
That we were very fond of each other.
Right.
And immediately.
Right.
We're very fond of each other. You made my heart go fast, like I just got shot with cocaine. And you didn't have the whole cocaine thing, but we were so fond of each other that one of our friends said, you don't need so much chemistry as you do alchemy.
Yes.
And that was a game
Huge.
changer.
It was.
For us.
And I need to explain something because I really liked you, but this is important for a lot of people watching since you brought this out. If you are coming into a new relationship with past trauma or past issues, I hate the word baggage, but past issues, it can really affect what you come into a new relationship or how you come into a new relationship. I had a lot of trauma, especially from the divorce I had just recently gone through. It was really difficult. And so with going through that, it really affected how I trusted myself. And so if I can't trust myself, I certainly wasn't going to trust you.
Right.
And so based on that, I thought, I'm never going through another divorce like that again. So I really had to be careful. I also didn't believe that someone like you really existed. So my template wasn't set
Yes.
for someone like him.
Right.
So I kept thinking, okay, no one's that nice. Honestly, no one's that nice.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't my experience.
Of course.
So I kept waiting for the other shoe to fall. So I actively decided I don't want to go into relationships with those beliefs because I know how negative they are.
Right.
And I went through a lot of therapy. And that was when it began to really shift into this idea of alchemy. And I think it's important for people to know that, because I think they sabotage their own happiness and relationships because they think it's got to be one way, but they're set up to sabotage it because of beliefs like, he must be manipulative because nobody's that nice.
Right. And
So-
I think, and I
Well,
think,
and actually, what I tell people, I actually spent a lot of time this week with a number of my patients going, because they had really big trust issues.
Yeah.
And I said, and you're going to think this is terrible, but I absolutely believe it. All of us are out for ourselves. It's just the more sophisticated you are, the harder it is to tell.
Right.
And initially that makes people really upset, but it's like, just be honest and make sure your goals are aligned. So if we're all out for ourselves, I mean, I love you because I feel awesome when I love you because you love me back, that's okay. So you just want to make sure your goals are aligned. And then you have to tell your brain what you want.
Right.
And so we developed what is basically a little mission statement for our relationship. We want kind, caring, loving, supportive, passionate relationship with each other, even though we don't always feel like that.
Yeah. So, and one thing I tell my
But
daughter,
we always want it.
we have to let her ask questions. But one thing I always tell Chloe is that you'll be happiest in life if you think of love as an action rather than a feeling.
right.
So
I think, one of the things that Daniel has said a lot, and I think it's so important for our listeners, is that, coming up with somewhat of a mission statement, something that you live by every single day. So Daniel talks about this a lot, and I think it's very funny. But it's so accurate in so many different relationships. Is like, I may have a thought one day that, Tana's not listening to me or Daniel's not listening to me. And I initially, being charged, I want to act on that instead of kind of going back to, okay, but what do I want out of this relationship?
Right.
I want a loving, kind, relationship. And, the statement that I'm going to make now, is that going to reflect positively and get me what I want?
by the way,
No.
the same holds true for teenagers.
Yes. Yes.
Don't say everything you think is not going to get you what you want.
All right. So it starts by programming your brain. What do you want?
Right.
And then you ask yourself, I ask myself every day, does my behavior get me what I want? And that's not selfish, because what I want are good things
Right.
for my relationship with you, for my relationship with the people I get to work with,
Right.
with my kids, with our business. Does my behavior get me what I want? Therefore, I'm not driven by my urges or by what culture
Feelings
says I
and
should
thoughts
do.
and right.
I'm driven in a goal-directed way, which is the front third of your brain. You have to program your prefrontal cortex, and it will help you. And you also have to not hurt it, which gets people into so many problems.
Absolutely.
Because they have trouble there.
And I think, a lot of shifting towards social media, a lot on social media, we talk about self-love. And that's really huge right now. Is there anything that you do individually for yourselves, maybe independent of Daniel, that you live by?
Yes. So first of all, I want to talk about that self-love. I think there's a difference between self-centeredness and taking self-care.
Right.
So I really don't like some of the stuff on social media that really focuses on being self-centered, because that can be very destructive.
Right.
Especially in a relationship. But self-care, like, it's a joke between us. If I don't work out, he's like, you need to go work out, because I'm just not the same person, right? I'm happier.
Well, it's an antidepressant.
So for me, I use it as medicine, right? So doing things like that make you more grounded, more centered. I meditate. I have to do certain things that keep me. So I have to work a little harder and not letting the negative thoughts come in than he does. I always joke that he's got Mickey and Minnie in his head doing the waltz.
The rainbows
It's the happiest
too.
place
Yes.
on earth,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
It's just ridiculous. Like, nothing bad can happen.
Yes.
That's not my head. That's not my childhood. That wasn't my past. It's not my experience.
Right.
So I work a little harder at it. So, but it's still manageable. I just have to work at it.
Daniel, is there anything that you do? Any self?
Yeah, he wakes up.
Yeah, he wakes up happy.
I start every day with, today is going to be a great day.
Right.
And that way my mind finds why it's going to be a great day. I get to do this with both of you. So I do that. I end every day with what went well today. So I actually will say a prayer at night, and then I'll go, what went well? Just trying to find 3 things, because it sets my dreams up
Yep.
to be happier.
Right.
So where you bring your attention determines how you feel. And then I make coffee. I make her almond milk cappuccino in the
yes.
morning, and I do that purposefully because it's just a simple
It's an
act of love.
And he'll
and then
sometimes
we'll spend 10 minutes just sort of chatting.
Yeah, we have
about
our
day.
little group meeting in the morning, our family meeting. But
Yes.
he'll often say to me, "Did I tell you I love you today?" I'm like, "You made my cappuccino."
Yeah.
Like it's to me like even if we get busy, it's those little things that sort of make a difference.
And, that kind of segments to my next question, but are there things that you two do daily that you have to, not that you have to do, but
they're rituals.
But they're rituals that you look forward to doing together. Maybe that's a walk. Maybe that's, meditating together. Maybe it's having your morning
It's
together.
the morning for sure. The morning time together. We try to eat dinner together, even though like he travels and sometimes we're not able to because of that.
Yeah.
But we try to eat dinner as a family every night when we can. Even if we have to order out because we got home so late.
Right.
We eat together. So
we will continue this in the next podcast. We want your relationships to be as loving as possible. It's so important. I always think the first part, know what you want, and then 2, be responsible for it. What is it I can do today? What is it you can do today to have a great relationship?
welcome back. We are on episode 2 of Love. We're talking about love. So you want to start off with
Love Week.
Yes.
All right. So let's do a podcast review first. And this is from Casey Crystal Sporer. Although this post is from early December 2018, I noticed that it still affects me on a daily basis. A black belt is just a white belt who never quits.
Yep.
Yes.
This is so true for so much of my life. Showing up makes all the difference. Simply keeping at things, no matter what drawbacks pop up, you don't lose until you quit. Thank you, Tana Amen, for having shared this. It accompanies me in my days. You and Daniel are such wonderful examples. I draw strength from all that both of you do in order to aim my life in the direction of the Brain Warrior's way.
Wow.
Thank you and congratulations on your new black belt in Kempo.
Thank you. So cool.
You are a warrior.
Love
And being married to a warrior is very scary. I know she could take me out at a moment's notice. So you go, why is he so nice? Well, it's
dear.
because he's scared. No, that's
Definitely
actually not true. You were not a black belt when we met.
No.
You certainly got your first black belt in Taekwondo and then another one in Kempo and just got your second degree.
Yes, I love
You are a very dangerous individual.
She is the person in the office that if anything happens, we would hide behind. So we all joke about that. We're thankful for her every day. But I wanted to start off this episode with a couple of rapid fire questions. So we're going to go to you first, Daniel. If you and Tana as a couple had a theme song, what would the theme song be? And I'm going to ask you first because I know her answer is going to be very different than yours.
This is a joke in our family. Oh my gosh.
Well, actually, for our wedding dance, we couldn't decide on what to do. So we did 2. We did one for me, which was The Prayer by
Yes.
Celine Dion and Andre Bocelli. It's sweet. It's beautiful.
Gorgeous.
And that
And then we did a record scratch right through it.
Yeah.
And broke into Santana. So
Santana's smooth.
not what I
with
no, I
Yes.
would have done Def Leppard.
Yes.
But he wouldn't let me do that. So Santana we could agree on.
It's an interesting transition from Celine Dion
Yeah.
and Bocelli to
Yeah,
Def
it
Leppard.
really describes our personalities to a T. So it's often a joke with us because he loves very, very like sweet music and I just like rock. So it's just
Now, next question goes to you, Tana. Is there anything that you could think of that moves you to this day? So it could be whether it's
absolutely.
karate, like whatever it is.
you're not talking about relationship.
No.
Oh, yeah. Definitely martial arts
Yeah.
is one of my big passions in life. I mean, I love being a mother. My relationships are number one.
Yeah.
And starting with my relationship with God and working its way down. But as far as the thing I do for fun, martial arts.
Daniel?
Thing I do for fun, hang out with Tana.
Yes. I love that.
But you're supposed to say something besides
I love that.
Why?
Yeah, something besides
I mean,
the outside
I'm
relationship.
speaking. I'm going to
But you
Atlanta.
like
I got a
ping pong?
couple of talks. Yeah, but I mean, what really sort of moves my groove is hanging out with you, and I love lecturing.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. And you love writing. Can't stop him.
Yeah. So kind of transitioning to being unstoppable. Do you two have any role models that you look to? I know Tana and I have talked about mentors. Tana's one of my mentors. Do you guys have anybody that you look to for advice? Life, work, business, relationships?
I have different people in different categories. So whether it's relationships, I've got, or spiritual advice. I have a dear friend, Sandra, that she was on our brief
podcast.
week. Yeah.
Yes.
If it's business, I have other, it just depends on what area I'm looking at.
Right.
So we're blessed to have so many cool guests on our show that I'm able to sort of reach out to. So I have different mentors in different areas. And one thing I've always said is you can have mentors that don't know that they're mentors.
Yeah.
You can follow them. You can read their books or follow them on Facebook or, whatever. I just think that's a really important thing. So I don't necessarily think it's one person in all areas.
Do you have any advice to people that are looking for maybe a role model or a mentor or, something that they can kind of, hone in on if they're unsure of what they're looking for exactly? Do you have any recommendations?
So my recommendation is find someone who has accomplished what you're trying to accomplish.
Oh, I like that.
So when I was really depressed, super depressed, and it can be, I don't care who it is, just follow the person that has accomplished what you've tried to accomplish. So I was really depressed. I had thyroid cancer and someone handed me a Tony Robbins thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, eye roll, right? Oh,
Yeah.
big commercial thing. But when I listened to it, it just made sense at the time.
Right.
It was enough to crack the thought.
That's what you needed.
Right, it's what I needed. I needed to hear that message at the time, and it sort of pulled me out of the thinking I was in. Just the idea that I could change my thinking was a whole new thought for me. Now that's like our whole thing. But just at that time in my life, I started following his work because I'm like, I need someone who actually speaks this way, who does this.
Yeah.
So find someone who's accomplished what you need to accomplish and follow them. And I love what he says. Success leaves clues. It's that simple.
I love that. Daniel, any role models that you
Well,
love, aspire?
probably the most important one's been my dad.
Yeah.
And my mom over the years. But, with business, my dad. And the rest of my life, it's really Tana. I'm just very good at listening.
He is very good at listening.
So
He is a good listener.
Yeah, no, and he has been my rock for the past 13 years.
So speaking of rock, Daniel will go first. What are 3 qualities of Tana that you most admire and why?
She has a huge heart. So she has a tough exterior. I mean, it's true. She can scare people.
Don't tell him.
But she has a tough exterior. But she's so caring and she's so smart. I really appreciate that. And she's an out of the box thinker. So she doesn't think like everyone else does just because everyone else does.
Right.
And of course she's beautiful and makes my heart go fast.
Tana.
But that only sort of gets you in the door.
Right.
It absolutely doesn't keep you there.
Right.
That's so sweet.
That is sweet. Tana.
So Daniel is my rock. There's no question. Since I met him, it took me a while to trust just how kind he is, just how nice he is.
Right.
But the thing about him, I think that is one of the most amazing things is his heart and how much he does for family is honestly, I don't even know that it has a limit. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So I don't think most people would do half of what he does for people that he cares about.
I love that.
And it's actually mind boggling. And it's when things feel crazy to me or out of control, he's probably the only person that can make me always think it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
It's going to be fine.
You guys are that perfect balance,
Oh, yin and yang, no doubt.
Yes.
So-
Absolutely. You couldn't be, more different in certain areas,
Yeah.
but the way that you work together as a team is
Oh,
so
it's
admirable.
definitely yin and yang.
Yeah, it's incredible. I
And
love
even
that.
though our backgrounds are very different, I'm one of 7.
Right.
And she's an only child. My growing up was
Was-
relatively stable.
Right.
And
But
normal.
I have 5 sisters, so it can't be that stable.
He had such a lovely family. It's unbelievable.
But yours was really unpredictable. So mine was
Chaotic would be a word.
predictable.
Yeah.
That as long as we
Scary.
start with what do we want? Kind, caring, loving, supportive, passionate relationship. Does my behavior today get me what I want?
Mm-hmm.
It really helps to balance out some of those differences.
Yeah.
I love that. We get a lot of questions on social media about dating. And of course, the dating sphere is much different than it was 10 years ago, than it was 20 years ago,
Right.
than it was 30 years ago. Do you guys have anything that you do weekly? So whether it's like a designated date night or a movie night or something that you guys look forward to doing weekly? And is that something that's planned by Daniel? Is that something that's planned by Tana? Or,
People are going to think we're so boring, but the thing is we both like the same things. And I think that's the key.
Yeah.
We love being home and watching movies. We love going for walks and we love going to the movies and going to dinner.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really our routine.
Yeah.
But we want to do the same things. We don't go out drinking. We go to concerts sometimes. But we don't.
Oh, we just heard Joel Gottler, who's our agent.
Yeah.
And I think Joel's like 74 or something. Play the harmonica.
He was amazing.
At
in LA?
the
Yeah.
Tellos in
It was really great.
Studio City.
Oh.
He was the bomb. I was just shocked
Yeah.
how good he was.
But we do
Wow.
stuff like that. But we both, I think the key is if one of you is like a party animal or wants to go, there are things I like to do that he won't do. And that's okay. We give each other that space.
Right.
He doesn't like to camp. He's never going to camp.
I don't like to.
He doesn't like
either.
my
Yeah.
survival classes. That's
I
okay.
can't. I was in the Army. I'm
Yeah.
done.
So he doesn't like all the weird stuff I do. And he gives me that space and I give him the space to do the things he likes to do.
Right.
So.
I love that.
Yeah.
So this is our last question, then we'll move on to our next episode. But what is one thing that Tana's done this week, Daniel, that's made you just so proud to be her partner? I think that I love our social media, our gurus, they ask us all the time this question. I
Well,
love it.
she made kale citrus salad last night for dinner.
I made dinner.
Oh no, it's
Oh my
that
gosh.
dinner. It's of all of her recipes. This is like in the top 5.
I know, and it's
I
not
could
my
just
favorite,
eat
but I made it for him.
over and
Sounds
over.
delicious.
I actually didn't tell you. I tried to call you to say, hey, I'm bringing leftovers for lunch. I didn't bring them all. So she doesn't like it when I like take
Well, he takes
all of it.
everything. Like, there's none left for anybody
But it's, when I first met her, she couldn't cook.
at all.
I
In
love
fact,
that. I love this story.
not at all.
I prayed
Yes.
she wouldn't cook because she was so awful and would just create this
Oh my
bomb in the kitchen. It's like, how does, because like we're just dating and you cook, I'll clean up. Like
I'm like,
2
okay.
hours cleaning up, really. But since then, she really learned about food and she's smart, out of the box, right? I said that.
Yes.
That she can really take high quality food that is medicine quality and make it taste awesome. And I just love that recipe.
And I think for me too, when I started working here, was it almost 4 years ago, I'm a picky eater. And I remember Tana's previous assistant telling me a little bit about the aim and way of eating. And I remember thinking, oh, wow, I'm so plain. This couldn't be much different. And I remember trying a couple recipes and thinking to myself, oh my gosh, it doesn't even taste any different. Like everything is so tasty. Everything is so good. I'm full. I'm not hungry. I don't feel like I'm going on a diet. And I feel like I have so much more focus and energy throughout the day,
Yeah.
which is incredible.
And the funny thing
and
is,
so you're not suffering
At all.
It's an act of love.
Yeah, that's why I do it.
Doing the right thing is an act of love. Eating bad food, low quality food, is an act of self-hatred. Drew Carey actually said that. I put his quote in my new book,
Yeah.
The End of Mental Illness. It's eating bad food is not a reward. It's a punishment. And when you get
Yeah, I
that
believe
in your
that.
head, everything changes.
yeah, I believe that. And so that is one of the things that I do for him, even when it's like making dinner, like no one would think of that as an act of love, but I don't really love to cook in spite of writing 8 cookbooks,
Yes.
right? I don't
Yeah.
love to, I do it
Yeah.
for my health and my family.
Yeah.
So it's an act of service.
And it's also something that you guys are able to enjoy together.
When he gets all excited, I'm like, I'm just making dinner. And he gets so excited. It's still like, it's like 10 years later. And he's like all excited about it.
It's the little things that count. Well, we'll be right back, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us.
Welcome back. We're having so much fun.
I love this.
We are.
And we love Natalie.
We
Natalie has
love
been
this.
such an important part of our lives
Yes, you
and
are.
our mission. And can I tell them a little bit about what happened?
Oh, yeah. I was waiting for it.
When Natalie was 15. So even you can just tell she's beautiful, she's smart, she's passionate. And when Natalie was 15, she was skiing and just had a freak accident, which ended up breaking her neck and causing her to be paralyzed from the neck down. And the doctor basically said she wasn't going to walk again. And she doesn't listen to authority. It's one of the things I've learned. And her mindset was, I will show you. And
So when I met Natalie, I'm the one that hired her. I'm going to take credit for that.
Yes.
I knew I had to hire her because she's such a firecracker. But when I heard the story, I saw pictures of her at 15. She could not move or feel from the neck down.
Yes.
And you were such a cute little nugget.
Oh, yeah. With my braces and everything.
You were just so cute.
Help me.
She looks so sweet. and then I saw the next picture of you was you walking.
Yeah.
And it was more current.
Yes.
And I'm like, I have to hire this person.
Yes.
Because you just are so intense and you are so driven and you refuse to let the accident or a chair or any person define you.
Yeah.
And I just love that.
Yeah, it's been a really long, crazy journey, and I think one of the most important things that I've learned is that, I've learned a lot from you too, but I think for me, one of the things that I've always held with me is that there is no person, there is no entity, nobody that can tell me what I'm capable of.
Right.
And if I have a neuroscientist that has 30, 40 years of medical experience telling me something, they don't know me. They don't know my drive. They don't know my attitude. They don't know my motivation, and they don't know what I'm capable of. And I've held that with me, through high school, through college, and through my career. And it's gotten me here. And
But what I like is that you use that attitude only to accomplish more, not it's not like you're saying they don't know me and I can't accomplish that.
No.
It's always, I can do better.
Oh.
I can do more than what you think I can.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's something that has been built over a long period of time. That's why I love when Tana talks about mindset and how important it is to continually tell yourself, whether it's what you want to do, I'm good enough to do this, or I'm good enough to do this, and to keep practicing.
You also have
to
an
do that.
insane kick-ass mom.
I have an insane kick-ass family, all family, but
You
yes,
do.
my mom is kick-ass.
But you've seen how our work really not only benefits you,
Yeah.
but it benefits your sister.
My
we
dad.
did a whole story on that on social media,
Uh-huh.
on your father.
Yep.
And
my boyfriend.
When you begin to fall in love with your brain, it affects everybody
Yeah.
Mhm.
that you do. And I think one of the reasons you and I get along as well as we do is we have similar health values.
Right.
And the health values are so important.
And I think it's important too because as a couple, you're able to hold each other accountable.
Yeah,
We talk a lot about goals here, and
Support and accountability.
support and accountability, and and being really clear and concise about like what does Tana want for herself, and if Tana wants XYZ, then how is Daniel as a partner, as a husband, as a friend going to help her get there, and how is he going to help continually
Yep.
push her and motivate her? I think that's
Yep.
so important, and you guys do that so well together.
Well, and it wasn't always that way. When we first did the Brain Warriors Way, we were sort of fighting with each other a lot on who was going to say
Well, not
what,
like
when.
about everything. It was more about we didn't know how
we would
to work
interrupt
well
each
together.
other.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't what it could be.
No.
And then we switched.
Yeah.
Because we go, okay, what's the goal? And my goal is always to build her up.
Yeah.
And her goal is the same for me.
Yeah.
It's how, and so, at the podcast, we actually have signals, right? If I'm talking too much, she'll put her hand on my leg, which means wrap it up, dude.
No, it means I want to make a point before you shift, right? So
Yeah.
it's like, let me make a point before we move on. And so we're able to do that now, which is good.
Yeah. And so if you see it as a problem to solve,
Right.
rather than you call each other names, which so many people do.
Right.
And, and when I was younger, I could have been so much better in relationships.
So I think, talking about some of the difficult parts of relationships, what do you two do as a couple when you have difficult moments, when you don't agree on things? I think that's important to address too, because we've talked a lot about what you guys like about each other,
right,
and how you work together as a couple. But how do you work together as a couple when things are difficult? Whether Tana does something that you don't like, or vice versa, or you don't see eye to eye on something.
Yeah.
Tana.
So if it's something small, it's really not a big deal. But let's just talk about occasionally when we really butt heads.
Yeah.
So for me, here's what I do. I will walk away because I don't want to fight. So I will walk away. Takes me about 20 minutes. This is my process.
Right.
Takes me about 20 minutes. And during that time, I'm not sitting there like revving up more.
Right.
During that time, it's like, what, is this worth it? Like, does this have eternal value? What is it I really want?
Right.
And then after the 20 minutes, I don't want to fight. And I've noticed it takes him about the same amount of time. Neither one of us hold on to stuff.
Right.
So it's like we come back together, we talk about it, or we just let it go.
Right.
But either way, we both let it go.
Yeah.
And that's it, because we don't want to go on. Now, if it's something we need to solve, then we talk about it then, but not when we're heated.
Right.
So my process is to walk away.
We don't get heated. I mean, it's just
very
very
rare.
rare.
Yeah.
And we're also really good at saying sorry.
Yeah.
Because
that's so important.
It's the best way to diffuse
because
anything.
sometimes I'll say things that are just completely inappropriate. and it's interesting because sometimes she'll laugh and other times she'll be offended.
Now, to me, it's very clear when it's appropriate and when it's not, but to him, it's not.
Right.
So,
I actually think it has to do with
it doesn't.
Hormones.
Yeah,
but
no.
Don't ever say that out loud. Don't ever say it out loud. But one of the things we're really good at is reflecting on our own behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Because, as a psychiatrist, when I was a young psychiatrist, I thought it took two to make a relationship work.
Yeah.
And then I realized it totally doesn't take two. It takes one.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, most people are together because there's a foundation of love.
Right.
And if I can be the one that models forgiveness and kindness, then I'm much more likely to get that than if I hold on to a hurt and I feel, well, I'm entitled to hold on to this hurt because you are X, Y, or Z.
Mm-hmm.
And all that gets me is more hurt.
Yeah, let me know how that works out for you.
Yeah.
Right? I see married someone like this. It's like, let me know how that works out for you, right? But so I could engage this redheaded, difficult person, right?
I am not a difficult person.
I
actually.
totally know how to make
I could
her.
be. Yeah.
I could, in less than 20 seconds,
Yeah.
I can get her to scream.
He
at me.
can.
We don't want that.
But I know how
Well, actually, I
not
wouldn't
to
scream.
do
Yeah.
that.
There's 4 words I would use. I'm not going to say them out loud.
Thank you. We don't need to believe that.
Actually, it's 3 with a hyphen.
But is there anything that you guys would recommend to people that do butt heads a lot? And I mean, maybe it's a relationship question, or maybe it's something that they can kind of start working on. Like you said, Daniel, you used to think it made 2 people to make a relationship, but really it's only 1. Is there anything that you would recommend?
There are some people that doesn't work with, what we just talked about.
Yeah.
There are just some people it doesn't work with that need help, like medical help.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well, we haven't talked about the brain.
Yeah.
Really, in all of this,
Mm-hmm.
that if your brain's obsessive, that it's very hard in relationships because you have to do everything perfectly or the other person's upset.
Right.
And that's so stressful.
You're walking on eggshells all the time.
Right.
If they've had a head injury, and there's 2
And they're
million
volatile.
new head injuries every year, they can be unpredictable.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing drugs.
Impulsive. If they're doing drugs or their doctor prescribed them the wrong medication,
Yeah.
that could be problematic as well.
Right.
So getting your brain right, and this is what we talk about on the Brain Warriors Way all the time, is absolutely critical to getting your love right.
Yep.
And I think, kind of switching gears a little bit to to some of the things that we talked a lot about what you admire about Tana, and we talked about some of the things that you guys love to do together. But let's talk a little bit about being in a relationship, and we talked a little bit about, you know, conflicts and whatnot and how you guys overcome those as well. But what about if Tana wants to do something that you're not interested in doing, or or vice versa? Like, how do you guys find common ground on things that, you know, your partner may really be excited about? Like, how do you let them down easy? Do you say, hey, take that one with a friend? Or talk a little bit about that.
We don't really have an issue with it.
Well, I think it depends. If you really don't want to do it, that we'll go, well, have a good time.
Right. We give each other space. We give each other,
I'll
I'll miss you. I love you and I'll miss you.
But if it's really important to them, we'll go, sweetie, this is really important to me. I want you to come to this event.
Right.
If it's like an event.
Then.
And you're like, okay,
he's not going camping.
I have to put makeup on. Like,
Right. But if you said, this is really important to me, I would really want you
You're going to go on a survival training with me?
Oh.
You're going to get mock kidnapped?
I would love to see that.
No, it's not happening.
See?
Right.
No one will go with me.
You
I don't
may
wanna go with
really,
you either.
really want me to do it.
Right.
And I'm going to really, really, really say no.
Right.
Right.
But
so
I know
it's
he's gonna say
good
no.
to have good boundaries around.
But he doesn't stop me. And that's the thing. He scratches his head and rolls his eyes at me. And he's like, I provide this amazing life for you. Why do you feel this need to go do this stuff? But he doesn't stop me from
Why would
doing
you spend
it.
the night in a tent when there's a Four Seasons nearby? I just don't get it.
I don't understand it either. I'm not a camper, so I agree with Dr. Raymond on this one. But, you know, wrapping up this episode, we're going to come back and wrap up, you know, our top things that we learned about love. So stay tuned.
Welcome back. We're so excited to have this time with Natalie this week and just talk about what works, what doesn't work in our relationship. But you have a testimonial.
We do. So this is by RAB or RAB 405. Wealth of information. As a person that has suffered numerous concussions, I have been a follower of Dr. Amen and his brain research for a number of years. This podcast is an excellent and quick way to learn key insights to his research and teachings across a variety of topics. Awesome.
It's so common, you know, having concussions that change your life in a negative way and can completely change your relationships.
And so we're wrapping up our relationship week, and I'm so excited to be here to talk a little bit about romantic love and different types of the Amen's relationships and what they do to make their relationship happy, healthy, and passionate every single day. And so we're excited to learn from you guys. So Daniel, let's talk a little bit about one thing that you would recommend to our viewers and listeners to do every single day. Every single day, whether that's to their partner, whether that's for their partner, or something that you think would benefit their relationship.
Well, so this will take less than a minute. It's know what you want. So it's this mission statement. It's part of an exercise we do here with our patients called the one-page miracle.
Yes.
One piece of paper, write down what it is you want, and then just get that in front of your eyes every morning and ask yourself, will my behavior today get me what I want in my relationships, in work, in money, in my physical, emotional, spiritual health? But on the top of it, Tana, is the number one thing I want: kind, caring, loving, supportive, passionate relationship. What is it I can do today to make that happen?
Tana?
I love that. So I do something very similar. I actually love the one-page miracle, but what I do is in my meditation and prayer in the morning, I visualize the kind of day I want to have with my, my relationships. So whether it's you or Chloe, all of that. But I'll visualize what I want to happen because I know that things are going to happen that are going to take me away from that.
Right.
But if I know what I want the day to look like, I'll get back on that track.
Right.
So it's really the same thing. what do you want?
And
in the
then
day.
I also, and we talked about this, but just to reiterate, start your day with today is going to be a great day,
Right.
because then your mind talks about it. And if you have a family, like a ritual we often do when we have our cappuccino in the morning is I'm like, today's going to be a great day. Why is your great day going to be a
we
great
do a
day?
lot.
And then she'll talk about it. And then at dinner or at bedtime, what went well today? And so if you have a family or you with Grady,
Yeah.
it's like, so what went well today?
Yeah.
And that way it sets up the conversation for you to be excited about it, where too often the brain is set on negativity.
Right.
Because, we evolved with lions trying to eat us. And it's if you can manage your mind by directing it in what you love about your life
Right.
more than what you hate about your life, you will love your life.
And there's one thing I think that's really important too, and we didn't really talk much about this. We could do a whole other thing on this. Make sure you're speaking the same language as the person that you're talking to. Okay, so you've got different love languages. I love the book Love Languages. So mine is not gifts. Don't shower me with gifts or try and decorate me. Okay, it's not my thing.
Right.
I like decorating.
I know you do, and just saying that bugs me. but it's not my language. Not that I don't enjoy getting a gift. It's just that my number one language, that's not my language. So one of my this goes down, like there's a couple of times, so many times this has happened, but I was just under incredible stress. I was so fatigued, felt like I was getting sick, and I had to jump out of bed early in the morning to go take care. I just had more family drama going on than just stuff.
Right.
And so I was getting ready to jump out of the bed. We had 2 deaths in the family. I was getting ready to jump out of bed and take on my day. And I had just this list of stuff to do. And I was so exhausted. And he literally held me back down and cuddled me. And I'm like, no, I have to get up. He goes, why? I go, because I have this, and this to do. And he looked at me and he goes, it's taken care of. I started bawling. I don't cry easily. So I was just like, you did what? He took it off my plate.
Yeah.
That is better than any gift on the planet.
Yeah.
And that goes down in history as oh my God, this is that
So know
person.
your partner's love language. And for her, it's words of affirmation and acts of service. And love them the way they need to be loved rather than the way you want to love them.
Some people want to be
that's
decorated,
fantastic.
Okay? That's okay.
Yeah.
Just know that.
Yeah. I think that statement alone is probably the best thing that has been said in these 4 episodes, is that you need to understand your partner and their needs and, what they're looking for as opposed to what you want.
Yes.
Because I think it's so easy for us as humans to just go, well,
We
I want
think
to
we're
see
doing
this
the right
movie.
thing.
I want to see this movie, and I think he'll like this movie, so we're going to see this movie.
Well, or you think
know?
or you think you're doing the right thing because
Yeah.
your love language might be gifts.
Right.
So you're showering someone with gifts and they're like, why doesn't he why is he so irritating? How come he doesn't love me? He doesn't show me how he
Right.
loves me.
Right.
And he is showing you that he loves you.
Yeah.
But he's doing it in his way, not yours.
Right. And then, let's talk lastly about communication. Is there anything that you would recommend to our viewers to keep that dialogue of open communication open in a relationship? And are there specific things that you two do daily with each other to make sure that those lines stay open?
I have 2 things.
You first, ma'am.
Grace. So number 1, I have to know that even when he says stupid things, because occasionally it happens, what was his intention? I give him the benefit of the doubt that he's never trying to hurt me.
Right.
He may say something stupid, but was he trying to hurt me? So that's number 1. Know what the intention is. I know that his intention is to have a good relationship. So even if he hurts my feelings, it's like, all right, that was really stupid.
Yeah.
But I know what the intention was, and that's why I can get over it quickly.
Right.
And the second one is grace, because you're going to need it too. Just FYI.
Yes.
Okay, so if you want grace given to you, you need to give it back.
Yes. I love
So-
that. Daniel?
So I think one of the most important things is listening. That when you're talking to your partner or your child, try to give more space in the conversation.
You're good at that.
Too many people, they want to say what's on their mind and they just jump in without giving appropriate space or without repeating back what you hear. It's like, oh, you meant that, so let me just tell you how it's going to be. And that just kills. communication. And there are a lot of people who are extroverts and they use a lot of words, but it may not be serving your relationship.
So I just have to say something funny about that because you're so good at it. You're so good at listening. But sometimes you'll be on the phone and Chloe or I will be talking to you and you'll give space. And all of a sudden we're like, hello? Hello? It's like, where'd you go? And you're trying to give space, but most people are so not used to it that we're just like, what happened? Where's the connection?
Yeah.
We're used
Are
to
you still
people
here?
jumping in. See that space?
There it is.
It's called active listening. They teach all therapists to do it. You should have learned this in 3rd grade.
It's not easy to learn, but it's very helpful.
It's easy to learn. It's not easy to practice.
That's
Yes.
that's what
It's
I
easy to
That's
learn.
better said. Yeah.
It's not easy
Yeah.
to practice. And underlying all of this, if you're doing the things that we're talking about, that you're being a good listener and you're intentional in your behavior and your relationship's still suffering, you should come to one of
Yeah.
our 8 clinics and get scanned because, it's often the wild card, the missing piece that you have underlying ADD that's never been treated, or you have OCD that's never been treated, or you've had a head injury, or you have some mold exposure. The brain, I did this study once called the Couples from Hell study, where we scanned
Yes.
500 couples who failed marital therapy.
Yeah.
So interesting.
And, nearly 90%, one or both of the people in the relationship had a brain that could be improved. And if you improve if you improve your brain, the relationships get better.
It also helps you to just understand the people that you're having relationships with. So, for example, my mother, seeing her brain not only explained her to me, explained my whole childhood, but also seeing my daughter's brain. She's a really good kid by any standard. I mean, you know her. She's
Yes.
like this really good kid. But there were things about her, because I'm so different, the way I communicate, the way I do things, so different that I couldn't understand. And so seeing her brain, all of a sudden I went, oh, okay. So she's never going to do it like I would do it.
Yeah.
So, and just seeing how anxious, like that, her brain's so much more active than mine. I have ADD. She has an overactive brain.
Yeah.
So she's never going to do it the way I would. But seeing that helped me understand why she does what she does. And it just helped me let go.
Yeah, and it helped you understand her,
Her.
and to be able to live with her and to work with her and
just
to,
get it. I get
and
it.
To get it, yeah.
So I no longer get frustrated. Like, why aren't you doing, this way? So
It adds empathy
Yeah.
and understanding and a path to treatment.
We love that.
Well, thank you so much for being with us.
was awesome.
What a
Thank you for
joy.
having
We're going to
me.
invite you back
Thank
because
you.
you add
we
such
didn't get to the other types of
color.
love, but this was so important.
We have a lot more to share.
Yeah.
Stay with us.
If you're enjoying the Brain Warriors Way podcast, please don't forget to subscribe so you'll always know when there's a new episode. And while you're at it, feel free to give us a review or 5-star rating, as that helps others find the podcast.
If you're interested in coming to Amen Clinics, use the code PODCAST10 to get a 10% discount on a full evaluation at amenclinics.com. For more information, give us a call at 855-978-1363.